Maintaining automobiles.
Teachers, pardon the interruption. Would these four students please go to door 13?
Make sure you guys check your
Taylor
emails, all right?
Anderson, Colby
Watch the
Richardson,
video.
Elijah Jones, and Quentin Wackler. Thank you.
Maintaining automobiles. Talking about maintaining automobiles, the upkeep for an automobile. Compute cost per miles. And compute operating and maintaining a vehicle. Some things that go into that. 3 things. Variable cost, fixed cost, and depreciation. Simon, will you throw one of those back here to me? Yeah, please. Yeah, I think I broke somebody. Somebody stole the bottom of it. Real nice, isn't it? The other thing too, with the calculators, please make sure the right calculators are all getting back when they go back, because my geometry teachers, or my geometry students are now doing like sine, cosine, and tangent, the trig stuff. And I've warned them that if one of the calculators comes up missing, then there'll be no calculators, and that's not what we want, right? So make sure they get back. Hopefully they'll make sure that they get back in there also. Variable cost. Variable cost of producing a product. We're not producing a product here, just we're maintaining it. Give me some variable costs that go into maintaining a automobile.
New tires.
New tires.
Oil.
Oil, changing the oil and stuff. Any kind of maintenance, right? You can't decide on what the maintenance might be. Like right now, the van I'm driving, for some reason, as I'm going up a hill, it won't downshift. So I'm guessing there's a vacuum or something, some sensor that's screwed up. So I'm going up a hill yesterday, and all of a sudden there's 15 cars behind me because I started up the hill about 50 miles an hour and ended up at the top of the hill going about 10 because the car didn't want to downshift. Yes. Exactly. Well, yeah. All right. What else? What other kind of variable costs go into maintaining a car? Gas. Gas, most definitely variable, right? Especially right now. Gas prices all over the place. Fixed costs. What are some fixed costs that you know, hey, it's going to cost me this much for this car this year?
Like how much it will cost for maintenance work? Insurance.
Insurance,
Bills.
right? Insurance is the big one.
Could you do tags? Like
Tags and title,
Like,
registration, all that stuff, right? I think we've talked about this once before. Living right here on the Indiana-Ohio border, is it the same in all states? Is getting tags for your car the same in all states?
No.
No. In Indiana, you get tags. Indiana, you get tags, they base it on how much your car is worth. So if your car is a piece of crap, That's one day in the year when you go to get tags, you're happy it's a piece of crap. Because it doesn't cost you as much. If your car's only worth $200, then your tags are only going to cost you about $20 or something. Your car's worth $50,000 because it's a brand new big 4-wheel drive or something. Tags are going to cost you about $1,500. And then you're going to be upset. That's why if you go over to Indiana, you might see, I know I used to see this all the time when I worked at the convenience store, and I'd ask people, you go over to Indiana, you might see a whole lot of people who live in Indiana who actually get their tags through Ohio, if somehow they can show residence in the state of Ohio. Huh? Is it? And that's because it's cheaper. I used to ask people all the time, why, when I worked at the convenience store, people would come in, and I worked in there for like 15 years, and these same people would come in every morning for 15 years. I'd say, all the time I've been in here working, you've had Florida tags on your car. How come? Because they're cheaper to buy in Florida than they are here. So they keep their Florida stuff going instead of, and that might be the same thing around here. Registration, all that stuff, same idea. Depreciation. Depreciation is the decrease in value of your vehicle from one year to the next because of its age and condition. So how much it depreciates. Always kills me, these people buy these, especially again right now with the price of automobiles. You buy an $80,000 big 4-wheel drive truck. Exactly. You go back, you could drive it from Richmond home and then back to Richmond and say, I don't like it and want to take it back, and they're going to give you about $15,000 less for it. So depreciation, how much it decreases in value per year. Couple formulas here. On this, as you write this down, sometimes you just do these first two. Other times you add in the depreciation, if you know it, on the top. So you could put plus, I'll be out of the way in 1 second. You could put plus the depreciation if you know it. Don't put your face on the floor. I wouldn't either.
I might lay on the floor, but like I put my blanket under my head so I wouldn't have it.
You get this copied down, go ahead and get your books out, get a calculator, piece of paper. We're actually, again, going to do 3 things today. The first one's this assignment we're going to do together in the book. Shouldn't take 10, 15 minutes. Then we're going to do something on the computer. Then we'll go over something else. And you'll have your other assignment. So the quicker we get it done, the better chance you got getting the other assignment done while you're in here. There's, are those books laying over there close to you? Are they on that other table?
Yeah, there's 3.
There's 3 books laying over there if you need a book. No. You just took your hood down and make it easier. New 9 weeks. Kids, what's your grade for the 4th 9 weeks so far?
Please don't say that, 'cause I'm gonna, I know
What's your grade for the 4th 9 weeks so far? 100. Let's keep it somewhere up there. Alex. Tyler's passing out. Sorry, Tyler.
That was a big insult, wasn't it?
An insult? What do you mean by that? Yeah, he's not a woke. Yeah, I wasn't insulted.
Tyler's passing out 3rd 9 weeks. All passes. I'm going to be a bigger stickler on this. I've been slacking. Go nowhere unless you have a hall pass. So if you lose them, Carly drops it on the floor here in a second. It lays there and she can't find them then. She's not going anywhere. I hate doing that because I think it's ridiculous that, but I also know if I don't give you something like this, then some people are going to really take advantage of it and just want to go every single day, right?
What's today's date?
Huh?
What's today's date?
16. You don't have anybody in any of your classes that goes to the bathroom every day, do you?
Well, I'm about to be the first one today.
Hurry back and we'll wait on you.
Do we need any more old tests?
Might help you study for the final. That's up to you.
Only one more semester with us.
9 weeks. Don't make it longer than it is was.
Hey.
Is today the start of the new 9 weeks?
Yeah.
Well, they're Monday.
Jeez.
What day?
You only have like 7 weeks, right? For senior?
Probably, something like that.
Nathan, I need the 9 weeks. Oh, 9.
I don't need the whole 9.
So just one for 8. That's crazy. You should have. You're making me mad today.
So everybody got these formulas down?
Yes.
What's up with the page? 356. 356. Again, calculators out. I don't have my glasses, so you're going to have to follow along carefully. As soon as Matt gets back, we'll start on problem number 3. Problem number 3, 356. Somebody read the directions for us.
Problem 337, determine A, the total amount for annual cost, and B, the cost per mile to the nearest cent.
So we're doing 2 separate things here, A and B. Number 3, part A. Define the total annual cost. What are you going to do with those 2 numbers that they give you?
Add them.
Add them together. They even tell you that right there, don't they? So somebody tell me what's the answer to part A.
2,250.
Everybody agree with that? Yes, no, maybe? Part B. If you're not paying attention, I'm not waiting on anybody. So when I erase something, don't ask me what the answer was. Part B. To get the answer to part B, if we go back to our formulas here, I forgot it's not on that one. We go back to our formulas. oops, wrong one. We add up those two and we divide by what? So all we're gonna do is take the answer we got in part A and divide it by the number of miles. How many miles are there this time?
6,000.
So 2550 divided by 6,000. 0.37, what? 5. So we're gonna round that off to about how much? Because we're dealing with money here. So it's about 0.38 or 38. Don't put both the decimal in that. It's about 38 cents. What you're saying for each one of these is to drive your car, you spend about how much? 38 cents. Don't put a decimal there. 38 cents per mile. Now, I'm sure all of you do this every time you drive your car, right? You know how much it costs you per mile to drive your car. Most of the time, most people don't do this stuff. Who might do something like this?
Truck driver.
Some truck driver. All right? You got to know when they say, we're going to pay you 50 cents per mile, and you think, daggone, 50 cents per mile, that's great. And then you figure out that it costs you 75 cents per mile to drive your truck, not so good. All right? So when you're using this car for a business, then you need to know this stuff. Number 4. What do you get on part A?
8,280.
Say it one more time.
8,280.
Anybody else get that? Yes, no, maybe? What are we dividing it by?
15,000.
Somebody just give me the cents. 15,000?
Yeah.
How many cents is it?
55 cents.
55? Everybody got that one? Nothing really hard about this here is following the formulas. Number 5. Got to read a little bit here.
James Burr drove 9,500 miles in his car last year. The total fixed cost was 1,215, and the variable cost was 1,985.
Add those first two, what do you get? That's your answer to part A. Anybody get it?
3,200, 30,200.
And you're going to take that number divided by how many miles, which I think Alex said 9,500, right?
Yeah.
Just tell me the cents here. Once you get the answer and round it off.
33.
Anybody else get that? Yes, no, maybe?
One second. Yes.
We good on that one?
Yes.
Number 6.
Liz Nolan drove 34,500 miles last year. The total fixed cost was 9,916, and the variable cost was 4,897.
A is 14,813.
813?
Yeah.
You're going to divide that by what? 34,500, is that what you said?
Yeah.
What's that come out to be? How many cents?
43 cents.
Total cost, how much it costs per mile to drive that car. Number seven's a little tougher, a little more to read, a little more addition and stuff here.
Nina Karras purchased a used car 3 years ago for $11,425. Its current value is $6,897.
All right, stop right there. Before we go any further. 6,897.
Yeah.
Somebody subtract that for us.
$4,528.
Anybody else get that?
Yeah.
What's that telling us? What's 4,528?
Is that the value she lost?
That's the value that she's lost over how many years?
3.
So what we want to do with that is divide it by 3. So divide that by 3.
1,509 and 3 cents.
33 cents.
Yeah.
So what we have there,
Each year.
that's how much per year the value of the car is going down. So in about another year, she can expect that the car is going to be worth about $3,000. Another year after that, it's going to be worth about $1,500. Year after that, it's going to be worth how much? About $0. Now it doesn't go down just in a straight line like that because it's not ever going to be worth $0 unless it doesn't work at all and it's in the junkyard or something. And, all right, but so this is the depreciation. We're going to use that. We got to add that into our other stuff. What things are we adding up here? Go ahead, keep reading.
Annual variable costs this year are gasoline for $2,524.90. Oil and filters, 145.21. New battery, 65.45. And transmission repair, 981.33. This year's insurance cost $1,546. Registration was $114.95. And loan interest total $457.88. Nina drove 19,000.
Slow down, 457.88.
Yeah. Sorry.
Plus, that's all right. Plus, we're going to add in the depression here. Sorry, I ran out of space. Let's do this before Alex tells us the number that we have to divide by. We're adding all that up. Probably need 3 or 4 people to do it because if one person does it, we're not going to know if it's right or not. We hope it's right, but. Find that calculator's getting lonely. Ben could step back there and grab another one. Hard to believe. AJ, you see that blue thing laying over there on your desk? It's called a calculator. You don't chew on it, you get it out, you punch in buttons, and it does math for you. Gotta quit because I'm recording all this. Anybody get an answer yet?
7,000 or 7345.05.
That's what I got.
That's also what I got.
So that's what we're going with?
Yeah.
And we're gonna take that, and now keep reading, what's the next part?
Nina drove 19,214 miles this year.
19,000.
214.
So, first thing, what number are we on, number 7?
Yeah.
This is our first answer, that's the answer to part A. 7,314. $45.05. Then the answer to part B is we divide those two. And how many cents is it? Everybody agree with that, about 38 cents?
Yes.
So those are our two answers. This is A, that's B.
Yeah, it has
Should be a C.
Oh, it has a C?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It asks-
we already did that.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, it's somewhere up there.
Also, does have listed wrong.
Yeah, it's right, that one,
This is A,
yeah.
so that's A, this is B, and that's C.
Keep that up there, because I actually looked at
I just remember.
My fault, I didn't read.
Are you taking these? Well, I just erased your correction. Is that fine?
Didn't the book screw up then? Didn't it say 3 through 7, just do A and B?
Yeah.
Stupid book. Confusing me. We got it? Yes, no, maybe?
No, that's it. Alright.
Number 8, last one. Make sure your names are on them.
Last year, Cartillo, whatever, drove 142,400 miles in a delivery van that he purchased 2 years ago for $22,565. It is now worth $10,320. His variable costs this year for gasoline $28,365.21. Oil and filter $598.10. 2 sets of tires, $897.60.
Now, hold on 1 second. 897.16?
60.
60?
Yeah.
Does that mean, it said 2 sets.
So I times that by
Do we have to times this by 2?
2.
It said 2 sets for that, right? So apparently he already added them up for us, so we don't have to do it. If it said 2 sets at each, that much, then we'd have to double it.
Battery was $85.95, and maintenance was $1,256.54. His insurance cost was $2,884.26. Registration was $159.65.
159.65?
Yeah. And loan interest was $658.93. What was the cost per mile for him to operate his van?
Alright, so we got all the information up here. First thing we gotta do is figure out the depression, or depreciation, not depression. Depreciation. Somebody subtract that for us, what do we come up with? Depression, that's what I'm in most of the time.
$12,245.
We divide that by how many years has he owned the truck? 2, I think you said, right?
Yeah.
Divide that.
6,122.50.
122.50.
Yeah.
That's how much the value of the truck is going down per year. So probably if you own this business that he owns, number one, he's driving about how many miles per year if he's only owned the truck 2 years? He's driving about 70,000 miles per year, so that's quite a bit of miles to put on a truck. After about 3 or 4 years, the truck's probably gonna be worthless to him, he needs to go out and get a new one. we're gonna add this onto this. Somebody add all that up for us. If you can read it. You're going around the corner there. Anybody get anything yet?
I'm almost there.
41,028.74.
Anybody else get that?
I might have got it wrong. I got 39,888.6.
Anybody get that
I
answer?
have 4102.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
it's that one.
41 what?
028.74.
Is that what we're going with?
Yes.
41028.74. And we're going to divide that by what?
2.
Oh, yeah.
142,400. How many cents does that give us?
$0.29.
0.29?
Yeah.
Or about 29 cents. Anybody else get that?
Is there a C, maybe C to answer to?
No, this one just wanted to know.
The cost of the line.
Sleep later.
Oh, okay.
Wes, if you want to sleep later, keep your subway job, and after a while, they'll make you a manager, and you can sit out.
Let's talk about him, not me.
I'll say you can just about choose your hours then, and
I would not want to be a manager. Heck no.
I'm a manager at a gas station and this sucks.
make sure your names are on those. You're gonna lay right here on this desk. Get your notes back down. Take me just a minute to pull up the next thing here. Start copying down this. We're not gonna talk about renting a vehicle. We're gonna talk about leasing a vehicle just today. Then next time we'll probably talk about renting a vehicle.
Hey, you were close, bro. Why you messing up my dog?
Fine.
Should've said, why you messing with my dog? You wanna die?
Ellison Shakespeare, man.
That's why they call me Wesley Spears.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Wesley's weird. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Calm down.
Wait, so Kobe's not coming back in this?
Yeah, Miss-
Like 5 days.
What is that class that they went to? I have no idea.
I don't read that stuff. Don't care. I'm not there.
Thanks.
Elijah said that it's because they didn't pass their state
I tried to not say stuff like that. 'cause
Kobe
that
did
makes
have
it
to
sound
take
like
his state test.
But
uncaring, but
it's not your problem. Take it.
I get about 200 emails a day from all these people, and all I really look at is I look at the names and like ag. There must be 75 field trips because I've gotten
13,000.
I get the text messages and they're so annoying.
That's why I'm glad
I've gotten an email, at least 2 emails every day for the last 2 weeks from them saying, these students are going on this trip, and I just look at the names and don't even know what the trips are. Like, I think there's one today, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 7:30, they had to leave on the bus, I already got the text message.
Yeah, I'm an ag, and like I don't even know what they're talking about half the time. I'm like, there was a field trip that we're supposed to sign up for.
All I know is Doxatop.
What?
Doxatop.
What's that?
Leasing the car. So again, we're going to talk about leasing today, renting next time. Leasing the car. Any of your parents lease cars?
No.
They all just buy them and then it's your car, right?
Yeah.
I want to buy one.
I have some relatives who have never done anything but lease a car, and they swear by it. I've never done it because I don't like the idea and how it's set up, but they swear by it. They lease a car for 3 years, take it back, lease another one for 3 years, take it back, lease another one.
That'd be like kind of like a waste.
I don't know. They swear it's not a waste. They swear that they get
Wouldn't you
more
just
for their
save
money.
by just buying it? Or like putting it down payments and just paying it off.
There's arguments on both sides of that. You might get more money. I mean, if you're like me, I might be better off to lease a car. Because once I buy a car, my wife gets upset because we don't ever trade it in. I drive it until it's completely and totally worthless, and then we haul it off to the junkyard. The car that I sold to Dylan Ackley last year, first time I've sold a car in my whole life. I've never ever sold a car before. Every other car that I've ever owned, when I was done with it, it got hauled to the junkyard because it was worth nothing. So, again, there's both sides. They say if you lease it, then it's not really your concern. Usually if you're leasing a car, you can take it back to that dealership, they'll change the oil and stuff in it for you, do that stuff for you, minor maintenance. Now if you tear up something, they're not going to fix it for you just for free. And that's the problem that I see. I had a buddy when I first started teaching who was also a teacher, and his wife leased a brand new Mustang, and they leased it for like 5 years, and he loved it until it got to the end of the contract. And when it got to the end of the contract, he realized that he hadn't read all the fine print, and his wife drove the crap out of the car, and so did he. And so there's little dings and nicks and stuff all over it and little scratches. They had to pay for it all. They had to pay for all the damage to the car. Plus,
And they didn't keep it.
they had to pay for the extra mileage that they put on the car. So if you lease the car, you got to make sure you look at that and know. Back then, it was a normal person usually put about 10,000 miles on a car in a year. Now it's the insurance companies and stuff have raised it up a little bit, it's 15 to 20. But back then it was 10. Well, they were putting about 20,000 miles a year on the car. So by the time they got done taking the car back, it had like an extra 30,000 miles on it. And they had to pay so much for that. I think it was like a nickel per mile. I remember him coming back and telling me that the amount that they were going to pay for the mileage was going to be more than the car was even worth to just buy outright. So what they did, they ended up just buying the car after the lease. And that's what's on the next slide here. There's two ways that you could have a lease. Two different kinds of leases. One of them is a closed-end lease and the other one's an open-end lease. So two different kinds of leases. Closed-end go ahead and go and rinse it off and stuff. A closed-end lease, you have to give the car back to them. And there might be a third kind of lease now, if you talk to them. There might be a third kind of lease where you can decide at the end, well, I guess that's an open-end lease. You can decide at the end whether you want to give the car back or if you want to keep the car. Everybody close their eyes for about 10 seconds. Don't tell anybody that Ebersole was cleaning up bodily fluids.
My bad.
So a closed-end lease. A closed-end lease is a contract that allows the use of the vehicle for a set time period by making a specific number of payments. Most leases go for like a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever. I think now they even lease stuff for like 10 years. Don't take out a lease for 10 years.
So you don't know what's going to happen.
Don't, when you go to buy a car,
Teachers, pardon the interruption. Will the following students please come to the ag room? Ashlyn Hoover, Cooper Lee, Ethan Oswald, Dallas Pirat, Jackson Strunk, Dylan Ackley, Colin Davis, James Johnson, Megan Urban, Henry Tushwald, and Jameson Armstrong. Thank you.
when you go to buy a car, every time me and my wife go to buy a car, we swore that we would never ever make a car payment that was more than $300. And we did that when we got married. Well, that went by the wayside because I think 2 vans ago we actually made a payment of $310. But every other car that we've ever had, it's been less than $300 payments. And we tell the people that when we're buying it, well, what they'll try to do is give you the loan for a longer amount of time. It used to be, when I was growing up, you could take out a car loan for like 3 years, 5 years, 2 years, stuff like that. 5 was the longest. Now car loans go 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, 12 years. Don't take out a loan for 12 years on a vehicle. All right? Don't take out a loan for 10 years on a vehicle. All of you who own cars, how old are they? 30 years?
That's about 10 years. Yeah.
So about 8, 9 years. Is it in spectacular shape? Is it all right?
I got it for free when my sister gave it to me for my birthday.
Do you, so is it a car that you'd like to be making payments on right now for the next couple of years?
I mean, yeah, it's a pretty nice car. They kept it in pretty good shape.
So if it's in good shape, then that's all right. But
Other than the key scratch on the side of my car, it's fine.
I did that. Thank you.
Oh.
Ebersole, my car is sitting at Texas Garage for the past 2 days.
It's still there?
And my insurance is due for your name.
Okay,
So,
so it's probably not a car you'd want to be making payments on, right?
no, but it's got it.
So just make sure you don't take out the loan for longer than what the value of the car is going to last. A close-in lease, you make the payments, at the end of it, you take the car back, and it's the dealership's car. There's probably going to be something in the contract dealing with mileage. You're only allowed so many miles per year. You're only allowed so much damage. You'll have to read the fine print to make sure you look at it and see what it says. If it's just minor damage, that's one thing. If you tear the front bumper off, they're probably going to charge you for it.
Is like the close-in lease, is that what they like use for like release, like partners on the weekend?
That's sort of the same idea, yeah. Because then you're going in for a lease, and some apartments will make you lease it for so many years, and then you're supposed to, like if you have to sign the lease for 2 years, saying you're going to stay there for 2 years, at the end of the 2 years, you're supposed to sign a new lease, but that doesn't always happen. I know when I lived in an apartment, we signed the lease the first time for 2 years, then after that we just paid month to month, and we weren't on a lease anymore. So if you watch like Judge Judy, and she'll ask, well, did you have a contract on this? And that's what it'd be, like that kind of lease. An open-ended lease, you got to watch out with an open-ended lease. At the end of the lease, you get a chance to buy the car for whatever the residual value is. You may think the value is $2,000. They're going to look it up and they're going to tell you what value they have, and that's what they're going to charge you. So just know the difference between the two. Not a real hard formula this time. It looks hard, but it's not really all that difficult. Your total lease cost is the number of payments times the amount of each payment. So however many payments you're making times the amount of each payment, plus the deposit, plus the title fee, plus the license fee.
Let's see.
A lot of times on the leases, the deposit's what gets me. If you are watching TV and you see a commercial about leasing a car, in the fine print they'll tell you the deposit, how much you have to put down, the down payment, whatever you want to call it. It's usually like $3,000 or $4,000. At least that. That's just for a normal car. Now, you're deciding, Noah back there is deciding he wants to lease this Lamborghini. Well, they're probably not going to let him put down $3,000 or $4,000 and drive out there with a Lamborghini. So a lot of times the deposit, I don't know. I know I don't have $3,000 or $4,000 just sitting around that I can take and put as a deposit on the car. sure Wes does with all those, that subway money. He's got money just everywhere. Mattress stuffed full of it and subway pays so well.
Get you right.
The reason I'm getting another job. After school ends.
This is the assignment, write it down, but we're gonna do something else before that.
Go back just for like less
Yeah.
than 2 seconds. Alright, well, we're good.
Got it?
Yeah. Hold it,
Page 358, 1 through 10. You may have some time to work on it after we get this other part done. But what we're going to do next, I'm going to write this down right here, page 358, 1 through 10. That's due next time. What I want you to do, I want you to get out your computer and try to look this up. I'm going to also try to look it up on my computer. Matt, you think you can control them while they're out here if I'm back here?
Sure.
Let me give you a baseball bat.
Yeah, I'd feel safer. I'd feel
I
safer.
feel like he could swing.
I feel safe.
Hey, man, this time, man.
You don't wanna watch them like go crazy.
So what I want you to do on your computer, try to find a place on your computer that lease a car. And I want these 4 questions, and we're going to turn this in. Make and model, year of the car, how much money down you got to put, what the monthly payment is, and what the term of the lease is. Term is just how long is the lease, how many years, how many months, whatever it is.